The story I want to tell you is about something that I think really happened to me in the midst of ministry. I was at home with my children, and I can remember feeling sort of discouraged, thinking, I'm not even reaching my neighbors. I'm not even sharing Christ with the people around me. In fact, I don't even know how to get to know them. And it was at that time something happened to me that really, literally changed my life. A friend of mine asked me to come to her house at Christmas to share the good news of Jesus with people. And I thought, well, that will be interesting. And unbeknownst to me, she'd invited 27 of her neighbors. And as I came, the women were so excited just to be together and having been invited to Nancy's home. And so there was just a lot of talk about, we never get together like this anymore, and how wonderful it was just to be together as neighbors. And finally, Nancy got everybody together in her den and just asked them to begin sharing Christmas traditions with one another. And it was just such an electric, fun time to be together. And after they had shared, I had the privilege that day of looking around the room of 27 people and sharing the message of Christmas, the good news of Jesus with people who seemed very attentive to hear what I had to share. And I remember thinking that was just such an exciting thing for me to experience God working in and through a neighborhood. And so that after that day, I started telling other people about these experiences that I'd had with Christmas gatherings. And they were looking for creative ways to share their faith, so they were excited about doing this. And unbeknownst to me, they had set up 12 Christmas gatherings for me to speak at that year at various places all over the Twin Cities. And I want to take you to just one of those Christmas parties that I had the privilege of going to. I remember going out to Jill's living room with her, and she immediately looked at me and she said, I don't have to be the one to talk about Jesus, do I? And I said, no, I'm going to be the one, sharing at your party today. Well, the party came, the women came. It was just a wonderful, wonderful time being together. I finished my talk, and at the close of the time, Jill stood up in front of her neighbors and she said, I just couldn't let anybody leave today without telling you how much it's meant to me to have you in my home. She said, I've lived in this neighborhood for 5 years, and I've just dreamed of having you all in my home. And then as she looked at them, and she said, as tears sort of welled up in her eyes and started running down her cheeks, she said, but I just have to tell you, being able to share my love for Jesus Christ with you today is the best gift that I could ever give you. And I looked around that room, and because she was crying, almost every woman in that group was visibly moved. They were so touched by her sincerity. And it was one of the most glorious parties I think I've ever done, because God was there. And I remember as I was driving home that day, thinking about the various parties I had experienced with Christmas gatherings so far, and just feeling like, God, what are you doing? What is it that people are experiencing as they open their home and use it for hospitality, and they see God show up in a special way as His message was being shared with other people? And I remember saying to the Lord that day, how can I help other people be like Jill and experience the love of sharing Christ with other people? And that was sort of the beginning of God putting something in my heart, letting me know that I was supposed to pass on Christmas gatherings to other people. And God just began to spread Christmas gatherings all over ministries, on campuses, in their ministries in the church. So I think just about every day I'd go to the mailbox, and instead of getting Christmas cards, I would get letters from people who just thought this was a doable thing. They wanted to do this. And so God began to just spread this whole Christmas gathering ministry around the world through people who are taking that step of faith to share Christ with their peers. And when I think about the church collected, I think, here are people week after week sitting in pews, and deep in their hearts they love Jesus Christ with all their hearts. And I know that they would like nothing more than to share their faith with other people, but they just don't know how. But anybody can open their home. Anybody can throw a party. And when we invite them to a party, I mean, who doesn't like coming to a party? We underestimate the power relationally of inviting people to our homes. And I have all kinds of men and women who say to me, I learned to share my faith first by hosting a Christmas gathering and then specifically by speaking at them. And I just wouldn't doubt if when I get to heaven, somebody taps me on the shoulder and says, remember me? I came to Christ through coming to a Christmas gathering. God can use anybody if they'll just open their hearts, open their homes, and let people come in.